2017 World Federation of Master Tailoring Conference。各位贵宾，欢迎来到2017世界洋服同盟第37届年会。然后这个是我们下午场的 presentation。I'm Grace Ye, Associate Professor from Shijing University, Fashion Design Department. I would like to introduce the head of department, Pina Xu, who's going to say something, a few words.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Taiwan. I'm Pina. I'm sorry, my English is not very fluent, so now I use the Mandarin. Thank you. 各位所有尊敬的职人们，欢迎来到台湾参与这样子的一个盛会。我们希望透过这样子的一个西服的职人们的一个活动，能够让这样子的一个产业更加的发扬光大，也让这样子的活动能够持续在年轻人里面发扬这样子的一个公益活动。所以我们非常开心能够在这里遇到这么多的一个西服这样的一个洋服总会的所发展出来的这么的多的一些公益的一些职人们。让我们看到这么多世界文化所产生出来的一个公益的一个展现，所以最后很开心能够来到这里，也祝大会能够整个活动圆满成功的部分，谢谢大家，也祝大家在台湾有个愉快之旅，谢谢。
I'm very excited about this afternoon's presentation. I think we will be very lucky to hear a master tailor to talk about business too. But how about a master tailor, successful businessman, and a talent teacher all in one? 我想我们今天真的非常幸运，主讲人是一位受过英国女王颁证勋章的高级手工缝制师傅，然后更棒的是呢，他还是一位非常愿意分享成功之路的企业家。更不可思议的是，他还是一位远见的教育家。所以我觉得最重要的是呢，我认为他是一位不可思议的魔术师，不止让衣服变得非常时尚，就算你有大肚子你也不怕。
I hope perhaps what I'll be presenting today will be in English, and I hope the translators will be able to fulfill you in between.
我很高兴今天来到这边跟大家见面，然后跟大家分享我的技术跟我的经验。那我的英文呢是比我的中文好一点点，所以今天我会以英文的方式来跟大家分享。然后希望说我的翻译人员能够给大家很好的翻译，能够让大家都能了解。谢谢。
When the Honorable President Ho, President of the WFMT, that is, not President of Taiwan, when he asked me to give a workshop on tailoring, I thought perhaps that giving a workshop on tailoring is too detailed and it's very close up, and you couldn't really be as effective. So I suggested that I do a workshop on pattern cutting and fitting of the most difficult figure you can find in Taiwan. So I'm looking forward to seeing this most difficult figure. And what I shall be doing is taking their measurement and drafting a pattern and then cutting the jacket. But I haven't seen this person yet. I don't know who he is, so I'll have to take the measurement on stage.
当会长邀请我来给大家做一个小小的分享的时候呢，他说我们来做一件西装。这个时候呢，我在想，如果只是做西装，或是做很多那个太多的那个detail给大家的话呢，可能没有办法在短时间之内让大家很能了解。所以呢，我决定呢，请他们帮我找一个比较不一样身材体型的顾客呢，让我来当场为他量身、为他打版、为他剪裁，然后我们再来做定妆的时候呢，来学习，来跟大家分享我的方法，跟我怎么样解决这些问题。
Now I did say I didn't want to see this person until today, and I still haven't seen the person. So perhaps whoever that most difficult person in Taiwan is, then I can see someone actually raising their hand in the back. But if I can have that person on stage now, I should take their measurements.
我还没有见过这位先生，请他来台上，我来帮他量身。
I've got a volunteer. Hello. How are you? Very good. Good to meet you. Well, is this the most difficult you can find for me?
这是最困难的体型，你们可以帮我找到最艰难的体型吗？
Well, what I should do is, oh, well, this is discipline. This is really not challenge. But there we are. I was hoping that I could have someone. What I would like to talk about here, first of all, is how. Can you hear me all right now? Yes. Is how we approach a customer. The way we approach a customer is not that we turn around him all the time. We actually use the mirror. We actually use the mirror as we actually are taking the measurements. So we don't have to surround the customer too much. No, I would make the decisions here, please. Would you let me do that? Thank you.
他会决定，他说一开始当我们遇到一个客人的时候呢，我们要请他站在镜子的面前，然后我们站在他的后面。
So by using the mirror, I don't have to surround the customer quite as much. The first thing I want to do, I've kept his jacket on because I just want to keep the length, check the length. So just if you'd like to raise your foot, please. Thank you.
我会请他把西装留在身上，所以我才可以来检查一下那个我们要西装的长度。
So I'll be using metric. I don't know if you use inches. Do you use inches?
所以我会使用公分。
Now we can number. Now, what I do is I take what is called the depth of the armhole or depth of side. So can I ask you to turn? Let's put it together. Turn all the way around. Now, all the way around, please. The measurement I take here, first of all, is putting the tape at his center of his back and bringing it under his arm, like this. And holding the tape parallel to the ground, I either put a pin or I put a crease on at the back of the shirt. And the object of this is so that we can fit the garment close up to the armhole. The closer it is, the more comfortable movement you have.
我先会把布尺呢放在它的那个领的后面中间的地方，然后绕过它的肩膀，然后在背的地方成为一个平行线。然后我会在它的衬衫的上面做一个皱褶，然后以这个方法呢，我们能够更正确的测量它的袖子的窟窿的地方。
So we take all the vertical measurements first, and the length of the sleeve is also vertical. And we put our hands on the shoulder, which is really almost recreating the shoulder pads.
我们把手放在他的肩膀上，然后测量的时候呢，就好像是已经有一个垫肩在上面，来测量他的手背的长度。
And we measure the most prominent part of the chest, if you can find it.
然后我们现在测量他的胸围。
105, 106.
腰围还有臀围。
109. Thank you very much. Okay, you can have all your money back. That's my pen, isn't it? Now, if you're working on ready-to-wear garment, you don't know who your customer is. So to a large extent, the tailor finds it a lot easier because he knows who his customer is.
在平常就是普通做衣服的时候呢，并不知道你的客人是谁。 但是你在做一件定制西服的时候，你很幸运的你可以认识你的客人，所以你知道怎么样可以为他定制出最好的一件衣服。
Now the ready-to-wear tends to work on an 8-head theory, and some brands work on a 7.5-head theory. So the idea is that the body is divided into 8 equal parts.
在普通呢成衣上面呢，他们都是以大概7个不同的size 来制作。但是当你在那个制作一个手工定制服的时候呢，你只需要用只有一个 size， 所以呢，我觉得这个是一个比较简单的事情。
And this is why you'll find some brands will fit you better than other brands.
所以因为这个问题，因为这个状况呢，所以有的时候各种不同的成衣，它的那个 size 呢，每一个人的合身的状况呢都是不一样的。
So here we go. I hope the camera is getting a close-up at what I'm doing.
他说希望那个 camera 可以更靠近他，所以大家可以清楚的看到他。
Measurements actually give you size, but it doesn't give you shape.
他说，当你测量一个人的身体的时候，这些数字呢，只能给你这个人的 size， 而不能给你他的身形，还是你板子的形状。
So what I'm doing is simply drafting the pattern, which is translating the size, translating the numbers into a paper pattern.
所以我现在呢，在纸上就要做一个打板的工作呢，来把这些数字呢变成一个板子。
And the pattern is drafted according to the size of the chest.
然后打板呢，我们是主要是使用它的胸围的这个数据呢，来做打板的这个动作。
So here we go. The first thing I establish is the depth of the armhole, which is the depth of side, the waist position, the seat position, and the full length.
一开始呢，画的第一条线呢，是它的那个裤窿，它的袖子的下缘的地方。然后第二个呢，是它的胸围，然后再才是它的腰围。
And then we proceed with the draft of the pattern.
那我现在开始做打板的这个动作。
Having established the length, now is the back neck.
现在我们知道它的长度的时候呢，我们就要开始画它的那个后领围的地方。
And then the center back position.
然后还有那个正背面的那个。
And then the shoulder height line.
还有它的那个肩线的地方。
Shape the back neck.
现在我画的是那个后领围。
I hope you can see that yellow line.
黄色那条线是后领围。
Now we just write numbers down. We don't write any descriptions. So here we've got 19, which is half the cross back.
现在我画了一个19公分的点，那是它的一半的。
Plus 2 seams.
然后再加2公分的缝份。
In menswear, all of the seams are included.
在做男装的时候呢，所有的缝份呢，我都会直接把它加进去。
So that's the back neck. This is the back shoulder.
然后现在我另外一条黄色的线呢，是它的后肩线。
Now I'm creating the back shape. So those of you may recognize that's the back side.
现在画的呢是它后面那个袖衫的地方的线。
Now, the first thing you do, of course, is determine the style of the suit.
当然，第一件事呢，我们要计划的呢，是我们要为它打造的是什么样的样式的西服。
So this, of course, is a single-breasted.
所以这个呢是只有一排扣子的。
Button one front.
只有一颗扣子在正前方的这个样式。是单排扣的。
And side slits.
我现在画的是那个。
So this is the back, almost finished. Now I'm going to give him a little bit more shape at the back.
现在我的后片呢已经几乎快要完成了，我要在它的背后中间的地方呢，给加上一些不同的那个就是多一点形状，让它能够符合那个背型，更符合它的背型。
But a lot of pattern drafting is really observation, first of all.
很多在打版的时候呢的重点呢就是你认真的观察。
And you would have observed our most difficult gentleman has got a round back.
然后呢，你就会发现，其实刚刚那位 model 的身材呢，他在背后的时候，他的背型呢是比较有圆弧形的。
He's got a round belly as well.
他还有圆圆的肚子。
So now I'm establishing the center front.
现在呢，我为我的正前方的中线呢画了一条直线。
So one of the ways of getting a comfortable fit is to have the back of the shoulder at least 1.5 centimeters wider than the front of the shoulder.
他说，要让客人感觉穿上这件衣服更舒适的一个重要的要点呢，就是要你的背后的肩膀呢比前面的肩膀呢短1.5公分。
But of course, drafting a pattern is just translating numbers into a shape.
打板呢，其实就只是把一些你刚刚写下来的数字，把它转换成一些形状，画在纸上。
Now I'm going to make allowance for his tummy.
现在呢，我就要特别加入一些数据呢，来让这个板子呢更适合他的肚子这个地方，因为刚刚英国先生说这个 model 呢有一个比较圆圆的肚子。
So if you look closely, you would see half his waist measure come in front of half his chest measure.
如果你更仔细的看的话，你就会发现它的一半的腰围呢，跟它的一半的胸围是差不多的。
And this is the important difference here in drafting this pattern, is that where the waist is actually bigger than the chest.
所以我们要确定说它最重要非常重要，在这个板子上面呢，我们要确定它的腰围呢是大过它的胸围的。
So what I do is transfer the difference from the waist and the chest to under the pocket. So just below the front pocket is to disguise the prominence of the tummy.
所以呢，我会把这些就是在胸围跟腰围之间不同的数据呢，加入在它的就是腰边的这个口袋的下面。
So the paper pattern really is an interpretation, as I said, of measurements.
所以纸板呢，真的就只是把这些数字转换成一个纸，然后所以我们才能够来帮助我们剪裁的这个工作。
But what is really important is the fitting stage.
最重要的呢是试身，在一个定制西服的方面呢，打板是第一件事，但是试身呢却是最重要的一件事情。
So this is almost finished the front of the jacket.
我板子的前身呢已经快要完成了。
So this is the outside chest pocket.
现在我画的呢就是我们的手心带的地方。
This is the side pocket position.
然后这个是我们在腰边的这个口袋的地方。
And a lot of you are used to doing this. But what I'm going to do next, after I finish the waist to the side, I'm going to transfer the shape here, because we don't want to have a dart coming through the front, especially if it's a check cloth. So I'm going to transfer this amount here to be hidden under the armhole.
所以我现在呢要开始最重要的地方，我只是要转换这个。我们现在可以看到，在前身的地方有下折，它有画一个像下折的地方。我们不希望呢有任何的折子在我们西服的正前方，所以我会把它转换成它的侧拱的地方，放在它的侧身上面。
What I'm doing here, this point is what we call the back pitch. The pitch is a balance line.
Back pitch 呢就是一个中间线。
And this is the front pitch with the front balance line.
然后刚刚我画那个呢是前面的 pitch， 然后它就是前面的那个袖笼的中间。
This is me planning how I draft the sleeve to fit the armhole. So I join the front shoulder to the back pitch and the back shoulder to the front shoulder height line.
这是我画袖笼的方法呢，我就是把在前肩线的地方连到我背后的 pitch 的地方，然后再把背后的线连到大概是胸线的地方。
So now I'm drafting the sleeve. I'm drafting the sleeve
现在
now.
我要开始画我的袖子的打我袖子的板子了。
So to get the sleeve to relate to the body of the jacket, this point here must match this point here.
我现在画的这个点呢，非常的重要，这是正好就是在这个袖子呢，能不能够缝入我们袖窿的地方，这个点跟那个 front pitch 的地方一定要是符合的。
So measuring the back shoulder.
现在我量我的后肩线
plus the front shoulder.
还有前肩线的。
And if you have any questions while I'm drafting, by all means, fire away.
如果有任何问题的话，你可以直接发问。
So I'm happy to be interrupted because I'm talking non-stop.
他说我不建议大家打断我。Is wondering how you measuring what the sleeve is.
The sleeve is the back shoulder plus the front shoulder minus 1.5 centimeters.
它是前面的肩线加上后面的肩线。So plus 1 centimeter.
Back shoulder from the back pitch to the back shoulder plus the front shoulder to the front pitch.
就是在后肩这个地方到后面的 pitch 的地方，然后再加上前面的肩线到前面 pitch 的地方的那个的数据，再加上1公分。So did you say plus 1 centimeter?
Minus 1.5.
减1.5公分。
It depends on the cloth that you're working with. If you're working on a check material, you minus 2 centimeters. If you're working in a plain cloth or stripe, you would minus 1.5.
他说不一样的布会有不一样的方法。如果你是用格子的布的话呢，就是减2公分。
And in inches, that's what, 1 inch? But it depends on the style. If you want a roll crown on the sleeve, we put 1.5 inches.
他说在大袖的地方的话，如果是用格子的布的话呢，它是放2公分。然后如果你的那个垫肩比较高的话，你要让它比较就是有圆弧的形状的话，它会放2.5公分。
Connect the front shoulder to the back shoulder like this. We connect the back shoulder and the front shoulder, and then we minus 2.5, so we increase the crown of the sleeve that way. So the crown of the sleeve in this instance would be 6.25 compared to 5 centimeters.
他说如果你要让你的那个垫肩比较高，所以你的袖衫那个圆弧线比较强的话，它就会直接先把后肩跟前肩连在一起，然后往下减2.5公分。这样子的话，就它的那个袖窿的地方的那个高度就会比较不一样。
Now I'm going to draft the undersleeve. I've completed the top sleeve. You can see the crown of the sleeve here. The front pitch, the back pitch here. Let's call this A and this B. So here is B and this is A.
现在呢，我的大袖的版型呢，我已经打好了，所以我现在要开始制作我小袖的纸片的地方。像你刚刚可以看到，Andrew 先生在上面写的 A 点跟 B 点，这就是我们要在缝的时候，它必须要就是合起来的点。
Now I'm measuring and drafting the undersleeve. Now from experience, a lot of what I do, I actually do it by eye. I take the measurements, but I then draft just by looking at the shapes.
很多时候我在打板的时候呢，我通常都是要使用自己的那个眼睛来判断我每一个曲线的弯度。然后这些都是从我之前这么多年来的经验。
Now the first part of what I'm doing is drafting the pattern. Then I'm going to cut the cloth. And then I'm going to talk to you about how I developed my business.
所以第一步呢，我现在就是在制作这个版型，然后呢，我将会做这个剪布的动作。之后呢，我将会跟大家分享我如何经营我的公司。
So when I cut the jacket out, someone else will prepare the fitting.
当我把布剪好以后呢，我们就有很多辛苦的缝纫师傅呢会帮我们把这些衣服做起来，让我们做定身的动作。
And while the tailors are preparing the fitting, that's when I'll be giving my talk.
对，当那个缝纫师们都辛苦的工作的时候呢，我就会跟大家分享我怎么样打造一个世界级的公司跟企业。
So that's the top sleeve and the undersleeve. The top sleeve is obviously the outline. The undersleeve is the yellow lines, as you can see.
所以这就是我的袖板，袖子的板的地方，蓝色的呢是我的大袖，黄色的部分呢就是小袖。
But what you may find interesting is what I'm about to do next with the fronts, which is the changes that I make for the guy with the big belly, or as I said, or as you said, the most difficult person in Taiwan.
现在呢，你应该最惊讶的地方，应该是我在我的前片部分我所做的不同的手法呢，来制作这个前片，然后它可以在试身的时候呢，可以让我们这个台湾最难合身的那个 model 呢，穿起来还是很合身、很好看的。
Scotch tape, sellotape, scotch tape. That's the front, but I'm going to do a little exercise on this front that's going to make the difference for the guy with the bigger belly.
那要在这 个前板的地方呢做一些特别的改造。
Opportunity for you guys here today because Andrew is willing to share his knowledge. So if you have any question, please don't be shy to ask.
Yes, please.
This is a really great chance. Yeah, please do. If anyone has any question, even I'm sure Andrew's very willing to interact with you. I think that will make this.
Yeah, this is a conversation we're having. This is not a lecture. Especially the younger ones.
The youngest one, please raise your hands and ask a question.
Right, just have a close look at what I'm going to do next. This here is the front.
现在我要做的这个前面的这个动作呢是非常重要，希望大家可以特别仔细的看。
So what I'm going to do is transfer the information I got here for the bigger belly.
我就是要把刚刚我们在这个地方呢有的那些红的空间呢来转换到它的这个。
So to disguise that, I will put this under the arm. I'll transfer this amount that I have under the arm.
我会把这个不同的这个数据这边呢，我会把它转换到我的那个窟窿下方的地方。
So to do this, I'm cutting the underarm dot.
现在我把我的
and the pocket position.
我把我的侧
to be
线
able to disguise the dot.
侧线跟我的夭折的地方剪开，然后把刚刚我们留的这个折子的部分呢，用折纸的方法把它合起来。
So this here what I've done is transfer that information from under the belly, so to speak. The horizontal line is the pocket position.
横线的地方呢，是我们那个口袋的地方。
So what will happen is this: I'll stick it together. I'll stick it together as though you've sewn it, but mind you, some of you might even stick your suits together.
所以我现在把那个夭折的地方呢，用胶带连起来，因为在我们车缝的时候呢，我们也是会把它合起来的。
So I'm sticking the pocket position closed. And the underarm dot. So this is to show you a pretty rough idea, first of all, of what I'm going to achieve.
还有袖口下面的这个折子，我把它连起来。
If you look at this pattern, it's got a little belly on it. Can you see that?
那你可以大致上看到，这个板子感觉上已经有一个小小的肚子出来了。
So what I've done is taken a flat piece of cloth and creating a three-dimensional form with it.
所以我就是把一个平板的东西呢，把它变成一个3D 的这个形式呈现给大家。
Okay, but to actually cut the suit, I'm going to have to undo that.
会呢，我要剪布的时候呢，我必须要把这些我刚刚贴起来给大家示范给大家看的地方剪开。
And the gentleman from Sri Lanka earlier on, he referred to what courses I did when I was in Sri Lanka.
刚刚那位斯里兰卡的先生呢，告诉了大家我在斯里兰卡的时候为他们做了一些课程的训练。
So this course that I taught in Sri Lanka, I understand they've rolled out the same course to approximately 5,000 people.
哦，然后这个课程呢，我在斯里兰卡这个课程呢，大概有5000多个学生。
Is that right? Yes. But initially I taught just 18 tailors.
Yes, right.
哦，然后他
18 tailors and then they rolled it out.
哦，有18个，从这个课程出来以后呢，产生了18个西服师傅。
So the pattern drafting is just one part of the process of cutting.
所以打版呢，只是在缝制衣服还有剪布的过程中，其中一个小小的部分。
But what really matters in cutting is being able to diagnose and provide a remedy.
最重要就是在制作一个板子最重要的部分呢，就是你要能够诊断出这个客人身形的不同，然后把它转换成在纸片上面。
Because measurements give you size, but it doesn't give you the shape.
刚刚我们量身的时候呢，它只能给你这个 size 的部分，数据呢并不能够转换成这些曲线还有板子，它只是一个数据而已。
So when I do the fitting, then you'll see what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and what I wish to achieve.
当我在试身的时候呢，大家可以更清楚的了解我想要做的事情，还有我想要分享给大家的经验。
Right, so that's my pattern cut. Now I've asked for a difficult figure to fit, but it didn't give me a difficult figure, but it gave me a bit difficult cloth.
他说：“我觉得我的model 呢，他的身形并不是最困难的，但是他们给了我一块非常非常困难的布来剪。”
But the important thing about this is to be able to match all the checks.
剪这个格子布最重要的地方呢，就是你要让每一个格子剪下来、缝起来之后呢，它都还是可以非常非常漂亮的合在一起。
Match the checks both vertically and horizontally.
不管是从直的还是横的看起来，它都必须要是非常完美的。
And this is the important thing about pattern manipulation. That's how you match checks.
最重要的地方就是，打板最重要的地方还有一个就是你可以，就是完整美好的把这些格子呢合在一起。
So if you go onto my website, savileroadtailor.com.
如果大家能够上我的网页，我的网页的网址是 savileroadtailor.com。
And you look at the check jackets there.
然后你看我所做的格子西服，
You see the perfect matching of the
你
checks.
可以看到我完美的它能够对齐呈现给大家。
No, that's good because I'm going to be cutting. First of all, of course, you got to make sure your checks are straight.
第一件事呢，我们要检查我们的格子的线呢到底是直不直。
And when cloth are actually rolled up, they roll up in a double, so you find the outside layer is quite often longer than the inside layer.
他说，因为我把 把这块布折起来，所以有的时候你会发现，下面的部分跟上面的部分可能会有一点点差异，因为我们必须要把格子的地方对齐来检查。
So what I'm doing is just checking to make sure my lines are straight.
我现在只是在就是要检查我每一条线都是直的。
And then one of the great aspects of actually cutting for bespoke is that when you make a pattern, that you're able to cut the cloth economically.
还有一个很重要的一点呢，你在这个做量身定制西服的时候呢，就是你可以在剪布的时候呢，用最少的量来剪出一件最完美的西服。
So first of all, I'm just laying the pattern roughly just to make sure I can get both forepart, back, top and undersleeve.
现在我只是把板子放在布上面，确定一下我有没有办法在这一块布剪出我整件西装外套。
But in addition to that, as I said, I want to match the checks.
当然呢，除了这个之外，我还要确定说我每一个格子都能完整的对齐，不管是直线还是横线、金属线，都会把它对齐。
And the only way I can match the checks both front and back这唯一的方法呢，它就是唯一一个方法，它可以对齐，就是一定要对齐它的正片跟背片的地方。Is to make sure that the side seam shape is exactly the same. 是确定你的侧缝线的部分呢，它们都是在就是每一条线横线都是在同一条线上。So you can see where I drafted the pattern because this gentleman, his chest is actually smaller than his waist. 所以因为刚刚这个 model 呢，他的胸部是比他的腰围小一点的，所以你可以看到我的板子的形状比较不一样。Can I have the sellotape back, please? So even though he has an unusual figure, 就算呢他的身形呢不是非常普遍可以看到的 ，it's still important that the lines match perfectly. 但是呢，每一条线能够对齐还是非常非常重要的。And can I have some of my paper back, please? See if on the paper matching the checks. 现在呢，我就是要做一些记号，可以确认我的每一条线都能够完整的完美的对齐。Now the skill of the tailor is trying to create an optical illusion of a small waist. 好，一个好的呢，西装师傅呢，就是当你穿上它，为你制作西装的时候，就可以让你的腰部的线条看起来比较小。But some tailors are expected to be magicians as well. 大部分的西装师傅在这边，我相信你们也都是一个魔术师。So let's see what magic we can work with this figure. 我们来看看我们一起能够打造一个什么样不同的魔术。So what I'm doing here is creating exactly the same shape on the side seam at the fronts. 现在呢，我就是在制作一个板子，我能够确定说它的线条跟我的前片的侧缝的线条是一样的。So if the same shape as the front as the back, but having added this piece of extra here, I want to maintain the circumference of the armhole, so I have to cut the excess off under the arm. 所以呢，我为了要
有这个完美的线条呢，所以我剪下来的这一小块纸，我要把它加在这个比较靠近前片的地方。
And that bit I've cut off under the arm is really similar to the piece I've taken from under the pocket here.
刚刚我剪下来这个腋下的这一小块呢，跟这个前面刚刚我们连起来的地方呢的那个数据是非常相同的。
Right, so the next process is to mark the cloth.
现在呢，我们就用那个就开始把它画在布上。
Which I'm trying to do as quickly as possible so you can not fall asleep or probably wake up.
他说我会努力尽快的把这件事情做完，所以你们大家不会睡着。
So if you're falling asleep, get up and do some exercise.
说如果你觉得你快要睡着了，我就站起来跳跳走走，做一些运动。他会很快的把这个布剪好。
Go on, Prakash, you lead the way in exercising.
有没有人要起来带动一下，让大家不要就是觉得太无聊睡着？Grace 老师要来带我们带动唱吗？
I just thought you must know Andrew very well. Do you know how tall is Andrew?
How tall is Andrew? 有人知道说 Andrew 的身高是什么吗
Can anyone guess?
可以看。
We'll write it down and then maybe next.
There's a prize who can guess.
会有奖品，猜对的人
But
会得到奖品。
tall is probably not the word she really wants to use.
就是利用这个时间 ，Andrew 在剪布的时候，就是 using this time when he's cutting the fabric and then no boy.
我们来做一些有趣的问答。有没有人？
刚才要画这前襟交叉的地方，纸板它又有拉出气的，它这个用意是什么？
它这个因为刚刚
就是这几个量。
它是因为在这个肚子的地方，它需要比较大的那个部分。
它出气多少
？He's asking how much she ate that little extra bits for the stomach coming.
How much did I add? I didn't add any, I took off.
因为他没有加入，他只把剪哦。
I took off the excess from under the tummy because I draft according to the size.
因为它是这个腰部的地方比较大，所以他把下巴的地方拿下来，所以它就会整个胸线身形就会有一个好像。
它刚才这个交叉线纸板，还有它画的线，它是有拉出来拉出去。
So how much? Because when you drop the front pattern, you add.
Oh, at the front edge, 2.5 centimeters.
2.5公分。
But this is actually his size, and I give a little extra because I wanted when it's wrap over, it's going to be forming a perfect check in the middle.
他说他加这个数字呢，是因为他确定他那个等一下交叉的时候，它的格子是完美的，那么对齐的。
So the lines will match from the pocket below, but it would not match under the arm, but then the sleeve will cover that up.
他说那个格子对齐的地方呢，在腰部口袋以下一定要对齐，以上呢几乎是没有办法对齐的，因为它的那个形状的关系。
Now turn the pattern around because I like my line to be straight at the side and at the back.
他说我把板子翻过来画的是因为
And at the bottom as well.
希望确定我在下板的地方呢完全都是直线，而且它会对齐，正好在格子下面直线的地方。
So now that we've got the same shape on the side seams, you can see here.
现在大家可以看到我的侧缝缝的地方呢，它的形状是一样的，而且它的格子也是对齐的。
What I'm going to mark is both the horizontal and the vertical lines. So it's important the lines match vertically as well as
所以现
horizontally.
在呢，我在我的 板子上面做了一些记号，就是横向的格子的记号，还有我也做了一些直向格子的记号，所以这样子呢，我能够确定呢，等一下他们剪下来的时候，他们是可以对齐的，在肩膀的地方，在各个地方。
So I'm just transferring the lines and the patterns so I can see the other side.
所以现在呢，我是在把板子的线画在布上。等一下呢，我才能看到另外。
But what's also important, having matched the lines at the side, it's important that the center back, the broadest part of the back, we create a whole check, complete check.
他说非常重要，除了你的侧缝份的地方呢都能对齐的，最重要就是你的背中线的这个地方呢，在凸起来的这个地方呢，是一定要是有一整个格子的。
So I'm simply laying the pattern now.
现在我要画我的背部的部分。可以看到，因此他在布上画了他的后开叉的部分跟他下摆的部分。
Now the important bit is the sleeve.
另外一个非常重要的地方呢，就是在袖子，大袖跟小袖怎么样剪的部分。
So it's matching the sleeve, both front and back.
所以呢，在剪这个袖子的部分，大袖跟小袖的地方呢，都要非常非常的对齐，不管是前面还是后面，左边还是右边。
So to match the sleeve with the front and the back, you lay the pattern down like this.
你要就是要对齐那个袖子的格子的地方呢，你就要把背片，不好意思，那个跳掉了。背片跟侧片的地方交叉起来，大家可以看到在这个地方。
Now most men, the position of their arm is similar to the position of the front of the arm here. The cuff is similar to that point.
说大部分的男士呢，当他的手垂直放下的时候，他的袖子的地方跟他的这个肩下的腋下的这个地方的点应该是差不多的。
But quite often The man with the big belly, when he's like that, his arm is further back.
大部分的时候，如果肚子比较大一点的人，他站的时候可能手臂就会比较往后一点。
And of course, the man with the hollow chest, his arms further forward.
那他的胸部比较下陷的，他就会有一点点驼背往前弯的这个现象出现。
So it's important that the sleeve actually relates to the body of the coat.
所以袖子的部分非常非常重要。它穿上的时候，它穿着的时候，它格子对齐的，还有它垂下来的感觉是非常一样，所以是非常重要的。
So now that we got here, the back pitch of the sleeve.
现在我们可以看到，在后面这个 pitch 的地方呢，是在格子上面的。
The object is to relate the back pitch on the sleeve in relation to the back pitch on the back.
所以我们要确定我们在这个袖版的地方呢，它的 pitch 的地方，刚刚那个 A 的地方跟这个 A 的地方呢，都是在同一个格子上面。
So that's the horizontal matching.
所以这个就是横向的对齐。
But of course, it's also very nice to have the vertical matching as well.
当然，直向的对齐呢，也是非常非常重要的。
So by matching the checks vertically, you've got to be able to relate the vertical lines here in relation to exactly the same vertical lines as we have on the sleeve.
所以呢，现在很重要是，如果我们要直向也对齐的话呢，我们就把这个袖版呢放在衣服上面，所以我们可以清楚的看到它的直向的格子呢是怎么走的。
Now, a simple way of actually doing this
最简单的方法呢
is to measure from the front pitch to all of the checks, but then the first two are very easy to match. So I tend to match, in this instance, I'll be aiming for the third check.
他说呢，一开始的时候呢，前两个格子呢是非常简单，你就可以把它对齐的。所以难的是从第三个格子开始。所以现在 Andrew 先生就是要在他的板子上面画下一些小的标记记号，来帮助他等一下剪布的时候能够对齐这些格子。
And I'll measure just exactly where the seam is, where the two lines cross.
所以我要测量它这个在它的缝缝的部分，它这个直角的地方，它的数据是什么
And I'll simply measure up to the top of that check and back exactly where the seam would be.
所以我现在呢，就把刚刚我测量出来的数据呢，使用在我的袖子的大袖的板子上面，然后做下一个记号。所以他刚刚那个 Andrew 先生刚刚做那个记号，就是他那个直角格子的地方的记号。
So I'm matching the horizontal line here, and now I'm matching the vertical line here.
所以我做了横向的记号，然后直向的记号。
So this line here, which is the same distance as that line there,
所以现在那个小角呢，就是大家可以看到，跟这个刚刚这个布上的那个格子的角的数据是一样的。
So this is the front of the check, because this point has to match what's happening here. So when the sleeve goes on like this, you'll find the vertical and horizontal will be matching at that
所以
point.
当你缝上去的时候呢，它就会自己找到它自己跟自己对齐的地方。
So as I said, the front of the check, if I just stick this in here, the front of the check is exactly in the same point here.
所以我现在把我的那个记号呢放在我这个布上面。
And you can see horizontally it's lining up here as
所以
well.
你可以清楚的看到我横向的记号也能够非常清楚的，非常完整的，坐落在我的格子的横向上面。
But in an attempt to be economical, I'm going to try and drop this down.
现在我试着，要就是用最少量的布来剪这个，所以我会试着移动我的板子。
Because we've got to match the checks everywhere.
因为对齐每一个格子对齐是非常重要的。
I hope this cloth merchant's given me enough cloth and he didn't shortchange me.
他说希望这个布是足够的，没有故意给他比较短小的布来考验他。
Now, quite often, you have with a check cloth, you got to match the front and the back.
他说非常重要的是对齐那个在袖口的地方，你的前线跟后线的地方都是要对齐的，非常非常的重要。
So we've got something called a 50-50 sleeve, meaning the top sleeve is the same width as the undersleeve.
所以我们说这个是一半一半，所以你的大袖跟小袖是对齐的，一半一半的。
But I've cut this both 50-50 and false forearm.
你可以看到我在这边画下我要剪的那个线是50的地方。
Now what false forearm means, it means that the seam is actually inside and not in the middle here.
这个意思就是当你缝起来的时候呢，它会是在这个格子的旁边，而不是在正中间的。
And if you want to match the checks perfectly, sometimes cutting a 50-50 sleeve is a lot better.
他说有的时候呢，你为了要就是让这个格子对齐，这样的剪裁方法呢是非常重要的。
Right, to match the undersleeve with the top sleeve.
现在呢，要把小袖的侧缝线呢对齐那个大袖的侧缝线的地方。
It is ideal to have exactly the same shape on both top and undersleeve.
所以最好的方法呢，就是它们的那个弧形呢是相当的，是一样的。这样子呢，就是在车缝上面也会比较简单一点。
In exactly the same way as I did the side body to the side seam and the back.
所以这就跟我刚刚做画上我的那个侧身跟背后这个板子的部分的方法是一样的。
I'm doing the same thing with the undersleeve and the top sleeve.
所以我现在也在我的小袖的板子上面呢做下横向的记号。
So matching vertically.
所以我们也要对齐我们的直线直向的格子，我就画。朱先生现在画了几个直线，正好是在格子的两边。
Now this cloth merchant is pretty generous. I've got enough cloth. The cloth merchant's been very generous. I've got enough cloth.
他说感谢大哥有给他足够的布来对齐这些格子。
Can I have some pins, please? Thank you. Now, as I said earlier, and quite often when the cloth is rolled up into a bolt, you get one side stretch longer than the other.
刚刚我有讲过，当你把这块布折起来的时候，另外一边总是会下面跟上面的那个宽度总是会有一点点不一样的。
So when we cut, we tend to cut one layer against the other. We cut one layer at a time.
所以 以呢，我们剪布的时候，我们不会2层的布一起剪，我们一次只剪1层的布，来确定它是它的格子啊，每一个方面都是对齐的。
So here we go.
现在呢，英主要开始做这个剪布的动作了。
Anyone wants to give me a hand?
有人要来帮忙吗？
Any volunteers?
大家要帮忙吗？好，来了，剪刀。
Now, because it's a check cloth, I want to make sure the checks continue to match. I'm giving extra cloth at the back of the shoulder.
他说，因为呢，这个是一块格子的布，所以我特别留了比较大的一个部分，在剪的时候留了一个部分，所以我才能够更确实的确定我的格子呢都可以对齐，这样很好。
And just in case I need to change the balance of the suit. Check it.
就是说，等一下呢，也有可能还要改变它这一件西服的那个平衡点。
That extra cloth will allow me to change the balance if I need to.
所以他为自己留了一个比较大的部分，可以改变他这一件西服在身上的感觉。
So what I'm doing here now is ensuring the checks match by pinning the top layer against the under layer before I cut it.
所以现在呢，我先把上面那块布剪下来了，然后我再用针的方法呢，确定我的格子的上面那块布跟下面那块布是对齐的。
So take a prominent part of the check, stick it in through there, and there, match the lines.
所以先把针从一个角的地方呢戳入进去，然后你就可以对齐，用针的方法来对齐下面那块布的格子。
And quite often, if you do just the top, bottom, and the middle, the rest will fall into place.
常常呢，你只要对齐了你的上下跟中心点的地方呢，通常其他的格子都可以完整的对齐。
Now, whoever is preparing this fitting, got to make sure that they use my lines.
说当大家在帮Andrew 把这件西服缝起来的时候，请大家确定使用我所画的线。
对。
Now this line, this is the line you're going to be sewing on. Chalk, where's the yellow chalk?
他说我是
Use this line here. Because I want the check to be matching at the center back where it's widest. Okay?
So you're sewing on the yellow line, right?
On this yellow line with the arrow.
黄色那条线是我们车缝的线。
Okay? I want you to turn this edge in. Turn this in.
这个是成功线。
Yeah.
成功线，这个
When you're preparing the fitting, okay? Not yet. Let me just make sure that that is lining up with the side here.
确定一下它的格子是对齐。
Okay, that's matching vertically and it's matching horizontally.
成功线了。
Okay? So when you're preparing the fitting, make sure the lines match both ways, okay? There you are.
这一条。
So I'm using the blue lines here because I want both the top sleeve and undersleeve to match.
现在剪的蓝色的线，是因为我们刚刚有对齐过大袖跟小袖的地方，所以我们要确定它的弧形是一样的弧形之后，我们才有办法对齐我们的。
But can you see how it doesn't match the underneath layer? Just nowhere near.
看到下面那块布是没有办法对齐的，所以我们一定是不可以两层布一起剪，一定要。
And that's why it's important you cut on a single. You can also see how the top layer is actually loose compared to the under layer. Mickey, 1 centimeter seam is included.
要确定我的1公分的缝缝我已经加进去，3 centimeter 完成。1公分的缝缝。
Except the length where it's turned up on the sleeve is turned up on the line, and on the length of the jacket is turned up on the line.
除了就是下面的下摆这个加下来的地方，折起来的地方。
I just want to check that this is lining up first before I cut down the sleeve.
现在就是要确定一下它的大袖跟小袖的那个侧边是不是对齐的。
Don't you have any for the extra for the top?
On the sleeve, not the top sleeve. Yes, I do, but on the undersleeve only, not on the top sleeve, because the undersleeve is turned in, and the way we do ours undersleeve, we have another layer that we sew on here. And then of course,
我有没有加入特别就是袖开叉的部分？我们要在大袖的上面加，我在小袖的地方加，因为大家可能看到。
不要靠太近，不要靠太近，会挡到。
啊，谢谢，对不起。
So I'm just checking the width here to make sure my sleeve is matching both vertically and horizontally. Which they are perfectly. So there we are. But you need the sleeve, you need it on the sleeve as well to put them together. Now we leave extra cloth here just in case we need to let the sleeve out.
所以我也是预留了一个部分，所以就是确定说，等一下那个试身之后呢，不知道我们需不需要把这个袖子变得比较大呢，或是比较小的地方，所以我都会预留一些部分。
成功线就是实际的线。
You match the raw
这个有没有包含1公分
That seam is included.
有包含，它都有包含。
The seam is included here, so when they're sewing, they sew here.
Okay.
Pins. Thank you. This table is so low, my back is killing me.
这个桌子，我低。
So I need a full body massage later. Any offers?
等一下，有人要帮 Andrew 按摩吗？他说这个太低了，让他的腰部跟
My back, not my shoulder.
他说他的背，对，腰部。
I didn't ask you I didn't ask you to beat me up. Just mind your belly, please.
请退后一点。
Can you pass the top sleeve for me, please, if you still have it here?
Top sleeve.
Where's the top sleeve? Now, I just want to explain something to whoever is putting in this fitting together. You will observe that one is longer than the other here. So leave a collar. Oh, well, I'm not cutting the collar now. Let's do the body first. Yeah.
要直的吗？
这个吗 ？This one, alright?
Yeah. Pardon?
How do you place the front? Is that always the front? Is the front in a check?
The front is check and the lines will match because the right side will automatically match with the left side. So I focus on matching the side seams.
有了一些布的部分呢，所以我们底下还有就是可以更改的空间。
I'm not used to this shears at all. It's kind of. This is Korean. Can I have who is my pin cushion?
英国人喜欢用那个英
Who's
国
got my pins?
特地用它这个。
Who's got the pins?
哦，真。对啊，马上就点下去。
You can see the top layer how it's looser against the under layer.
马上就可以对到。有时候还要对很久。
Thank you.
Let's just say you are such an experienced. You just put a pin through and you can match the check already.
人工线还是要再
So
Yeah,
that
one seam included.
Because of the erect shoulder, no?
So they saw one.
Because of the erect shoulder.
So what you, but on the front, you,
我知道这个实际的。
对。只有那个。So the side to 1 centimeter.
pardon? All the seams are included, side body, side seams, except
这里要
9
1公分，这
including.
个要1公分，这里要1公分。
So there's so 1 centimeter in from your line, right?
Pins, hoping, where you gone with my pins? Oh, by the way, when you're doing this, they need to turn it down here, and when you're sewing, you sew one seam in, okay?
Hello， 帮忙一下。
It's very important the tailor knows what the cutter wants. Because
常常这个西服师傅呢会自己做决定自己想要做的事情，所以互相的沟通呢是非常的重要的。
Okay, I'm going to finish this in 30 seconds.
在30秒之内，我就会把这个。
And then someone's going to bring me a drink of whiskey. That when the suit is cut and it's prepared, the fitting is what really matters. And that is the diagnosis and the remedy. So I'll diagnose what problems there are with the figure that we have and fitting the garment. That's what cutting is all about. Translating numbers, which are measurements. Oh, I didn't know whiskey bubbles, but there we are, sparkling wine.
Sorry, we can't find a whiskey.
The measurements are numbers is translated to a flat piece of pattern.
所以刚刚我们量测的数据呢，我们把它转换成为一个纸板。
But it's how you interpret that pattern and create a three-dimensional form and then do the fitting.
但是最重要的是呢，我们怎么把这个2D 平面的纸板呢，转换成一个3D 立体的这个衣服来做这个定式身的动作。
And when I do the fitting, then I'll talk you through what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and what I want to achieve for a perfect
所以
fit.
在我们等一下做试身这个动作的时候呢，我就会跟大家讲解。
Mr. Redrow, is this an English cut system or
영어 안 되지?
Because all over the world, most people have 2 arms and 2 legs, and the figure is very simple. There is no system in the world
it is the perfect system of Kentucky suit. Well, the question is, what's the advantage of having a seam down the side all the way through and not having that seam, and having a front down and not having it? But the answer to that question depends very much on the figure that you're working with. If the person has a small waist, when a pattern is drafted, it starts with the biggest part of the body, which is the chest, and everything is calculated against the chest measure. So, and then you reduce the waist and you have suppression and so on, because the seat, the hips, is bigger than the waist, and the chest is bigger than the waist. So you draft the pattern in the biggest part of the body, and then you reduce accordingly. So it depends on the body that you're working with. The front guard straight into the body, and then the skies, the wedge the keyhole through the body. So instead of having the guard like straight, so it's straight down, you don't get it straight to slow.
I remember English clothes with only one.
Usually, but that's when the cloths were heavier. The lighter cloths get, it's more demanding for tailors. And so, of course, I make it into what are exported outside. I only do handmade.
所以他在英国整个市场，比如说我们最近有很多除了手工的西服以外，也有比较半手工的西服。那他是想问说，它的市场比例占的大概是多少？
The craftsman, I have no plans whatever to enter into the ready-to-wear.
I have one more question. If you have a repeat order for the same costume, let's say 6 months or 8 months of life, do you call for another trial?
We have probably 70% of our business is repeat business, and we do have one fitting. Because, you know, over a period, customers, sometimes their chest slips down to their waist, and then that's it. So, you know, we do have one.
请问贵公司一套西装起价是多少？现在的员工有多少位？一件西装的工资跟一件裤子的西装的工资是多少？然后请问一下，在萨尔维街西装店最久是多长？
It's okay. I just signed a check and I asked them to fill it in. I have 17 employees and I have 29 trainees. Well, actually we have something called minimum wage, and minimum wage is around £7, which is around about $11 US per hour. But no one gets paid minimum wage, they get paid more than that. But they're well paid, because I think it's very important that you value your staff.
And he's asking, do they pay different?
Then you got to finish the one make about the door and all that. Telling they get £88 for each check.
The shops in Savile Row,
How long? Well, I think the oldest shop in Savile Row is around 150.
给的那个工资是非常好，然后问他说他上身跟下半身的分就是工资拿到几，那他说好像我刚听得到上西装的他完成的话，他大概可以拿到600磅，英镑，600英镑，对，然后裤子好像是200，然后还有看可能你那个西装里头可能缝的扣脸啊等等之类的手工细的部分，他们可以再增加到80磅。
Now the fitting is actually the whole object of fitting is to capture his shape. Okay? But what's good, it's pleasing to see that they've got all the lines matching, front and back, the sleeves are matching both vertically and horizontally. The side seams are matching vertical and horizontally. So I think a round of applause for the guys who actually put it together.
在打板的时候呢，我们只是把这个数据变成纸板，但是现在的重点呢，就是我们把衣服穿上去，可以正确的看到体型。
No, this is a crowbar. What do you think?
Wonderful.
Now for a first cut, that's not too bad, is it? Now there are lots of, although it looks good, it's not perfect. There's some areas of improvement. Now if you turn all the way around all the way around, all the way, keep turning, keep turning, keep turning. The back is not bad. Now the object of fitting is to improve it. So I shall go through the process of what's wrong with it, and then we'll talk about how we're going to improve it. Can I ask you to just turn around very slowly, very, very slowly. And what I'd like you all to do is to tell me what you think is wrong. I can see what's wrong with it. I know what needs improving, but I want you, the audience, to tell me what you think is wrong. So can I ask you to just turn around very slowly? Just stand there first of all.
我们提出一个问题，他在裁的时候，前面、下面这里是皮，它是画皮，跟布一件是皮。你是每一件都这样子画？
The sleeve length is one. That's an easy one.
The overlap, front overlap.
Yeah, give me something really technical here. Come on.
The collar is not sitting on the.
Yeah, well that's the tailor. But give me, there's some really technical things that's wrong with it. I don't want length of sleeve, that's pretty straightforward. Yeah, I agree. You can see the sleeve look almost like a trouser leg. And if you turn around a little bit again. Now one of the things I like doing when I cut, I like the broadest part of the back to have a complete check, complete stripe. So for me, that's the priority, not the top here. But just to point out, even though this looks good, it's not perfect. And my observation is the back balance is ever so slightly too long, so you can see this here. So when I fit the garment, it's going to be more like this. Can you see the difference? Now the reason why that is so is because I can see they didn't base it on my line. So how I can correct it is obviously basing on the correct line, but then I will show you what changes I can make at the fitting to actually correct it had they based it on the correct line. Now one thing I want to mention to you all, one of my observations is that his arm is very hooked. Can you see how his arm is very thin? So the back of the arm fits well, but the front isn't at all well. Open.
就用针把它扎起来，看我们可不可以改善这个问题。
So these are straightforward things, shortening sleeve. But what I want to do is go through how I do fittings on the shoulders. It's slightly different to the right side. Can you see that? And if I undo the pin, you can see the left side is falling lower than right. Can you see that? That is what I was expecting someone to mention to me.
左边跟右边有不同的地方，所以我刚刚呢是非常希望大家有发现到这一点的。
Got its length right. So this time to check the position and the circumference.
然后我们把两个袖子都放上去呢，我们才能够确定它的那个袖子的长度跟袖子的所在位置呢是正确的。
And you can see the back. You can see the back is also matching to the front. Back and the sleeves. There at the right shoulder. Now what I'm going to do here, I want to fit the jacket so it hugs the shirt. So I'm going to get closer to the neck like this.
所以现在呢，我就是要确定这个前身的地方能够比较接近我们的衬衫的领部。
I'm going to drop the front ever so slightly. Drop. I'm going to lower the front.
所以我就会让我看，就是从肩膀的地方呢，我就会让我的前线比较往下一点。他说在那个肩膀的缝份的地方呢，我都是会加入1.5公分。
So my habit is working on the right shoulder first and then over.
这个试身的时候呢，我就让我不会把我的前面。用针扎起来，我让它就是比较放松的状态下，我们这样才能看清楚。
And this way I can tell the perfect balance from one neck point against the other.
所以这样子呢，我才可以正确的看到两边的那个肩膀，还有那个领片的地方有没有平衡，是不是一个平衡的状态？要养成这个肚子呢，是花了不少的钱的。
So you can see here the button, where the button will be, the buttonhole is perfectly matched. Where the button.
现在呢，我针扎的地方呢，就是等一下我们换我们的扣子跟扣眼的地方。
And if he turns around,
它转过来的时候，大家看看。
The back looks a lot better than it was. You know, there was a lot more here, and I've lifted it up.
大家可以看到，在后片的腰部的位置呢，现在已经看起来比较平整了，不像刚刚呢，觉得在腰部的地方呢，它的布好像是太多了。
And when the collar goes back on, if I match it onto the line, the original line, you will see it's hugging the shirt a lot nicer.
现在呢，我把这个领片放上去的时候呢，大家可以看到，它呢在领部的位置呢，它比之前看起来更合身。
And so if I quickly just pin this in place.
现在就是先把它扎起来，让大家可以看清楚一点。
No people spending all this time standing or one day.
正面跟后面看起来呢，都是非常高的位置。
Next time we see this will be a little bit smaller.
然后希望下一次我们看到这位先生的时候，他肚子可能会小一点。
问他一下为什么没有双分呢？肚这么狠，没有双分呢？
我比赛双份，都我比赛双份。
When I'm remarking it, I will give it a yes.
你要地方嘛，佢後邊劈佢個啦，即係你不過咗。
现在这样子扎起来，刚才讲 经过他修饰这样子，那因为而且他屁股比较强，但是如果后面的屁股稍微放大一点。
后面不是。He looks like his hip is quite straight. So I wonder if we need to do something about that, maybe more look.
There are two things that's needed to be done in here.
然后他再加入刚刚大哥说的那个。
The vent is opening. I'm going to let out here and let here out.
他说，因为那个开叉的地方也都打开，所以我们就必须要再多加一些那个部分进去的，宽度进去，对。所以他现在大家看到的这个呢，第一次的试身呢 ，Andrew 想要表达就是我们要第一次他这么做，就是他可以完全的知道这位先生真正的身形是什么。第二次试身的机会，
要不要？